For the first time, Crystal Dunn and the Washington Spirit will be hosting an NWSL playoff match. Captain Allie Krieger and the Spirit will host a couple U.S. national team teammates in Kristen Press, Julie Johnston, and the Chicago Red Stars. The 2016 NWSL playoffs start now. The fans coming out despite the weather on a dark and stormy night at the Maryland Soccerplex for the first of two NWSL semifinals. We'll have for you here on FS1 as the Washington Spirit hosts the Chicago Red Stars. The Spirit had a chance to clinch the Shield, but their first back-to-back losses of the season in their last two regular season games dropped them to second. They'll face third place Chicago. Portland, meanwhile, jumped up to the top spot behind 4 straight wins, and we'll head west to see the Thorns take on the Flash on Sunday. So glad to have you with us here in Boyd's, Maryland, along with Kendra D. St. Aubin. I'm Jen Hildreth, and Kendra, you have to wonder, Washington coming into this one maybe a little disappointed that they didn't win the Shield, but in the end, both of these teams back in the playoffs with a chance to go to their first ever NWSL final.
Well, and Washington got what they wanted. They're hosting a home playoff game. Chicago, on the other hand, looking to redeem themselves from that early exit against Kansas City in the semifinal just last season.
Meanwhile, these two teams met just 6 days ago. Chicago getting the win in this one on their home field, and the scoring started early.
Well, no big surprise that it's Kristen Press getting the Chicago Red Stars on the board early. She gets that one, cuts it inside a left-footed shot. You cannot give a Kristen Press that much time and space, and Washington will continue to feel the wrath as Cara Wells, she gets another goal, putting up Chicago 2-0, and the scoring just kept coming for the Red Stars.
Yeah, that was both in the first half. Walls, her first goal of the season, that came in a good time, and they started the second half strong. Sofia Huerta, who has come on strong along with Press toward the end of the season, tacked on another one. That made it 3-0 Chicago.
Well, and then in the second half, 47th minute, Crystal Dunn gets Washington on the board, but too little too late. The Spirit is ready to come back and bounce back in this game here today against the Red Stars.
Both teams told us it is tough to beat a team twice, and that is what Chicago's going to try to do. But here's how Jim Gabarra and the Washington Spirit will line up.
Well, they just have a solid back line. You can't go wrong with any of those back four. And don't forget about Crystal Dunn, a very different role for her this season under the Washington Spirit. Not getting a ton of goals, but plenty of assists to her credit.
And several NWSL year-end candidates right here for the Chicago Red Stars, and starting with Kristen Press at the attacking midfield spot tonight.
Well, and you mentioned Huerta having a tremendous 2016 season. Really fun to see her come on. Press, of course, sitting back, and then DiBernardo really makes everything go in the midfield.
Someone is going to book a spot in Houston for next week's final. We will find out who. The NWSL playoffs get started after this. Just moments ago, 2016 U.S. Paralympic seven-a-side soccer team member Josh Brunet, the honorary captain, helping out with the coin toss tonight. The war hero from Stafford, Virginia, saved the lives of 14 following a helicopter crash and was chosen to be the U.S. flag bearer for the closing ceremony of the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. So a nice way to get things started tonight for the Washington Spirit. Jim Gabarra in his first year back in the DC area as a head coach, and what a job he's done this season with the Spirit, finishing in second place. Excellent season, and this team has been very good here at home at the Maryland Soccerplex this season as well. On the other side, Rory Dames in Chicago back in the playoffs for a second straight year. They hosted a first-round playoff game last year. Lost that one to Kansas City, trying to get off to a better start in the postseason here in 2016. Washington will start with the ball, wearing their navy and red, moving from left to right across your screen. Chicago Red Stars, and they're visiting light blue. rematch of just 6 days ago between these two teams in Chicago on their home field. Really the dominant team in that match, Kindred, getting the win 3-1.
Well, and Washington just wasn't happy with how they came out and performed in that match. They said right away, we came out slow, we weren't ourselves, and we have got to figure some things out heading into this back-to-back game against the Chicago Red Stars.
Spirit certainly didn't feel like they had their best performance in that match. Crystal Dunn in the corner. Bit of a new role for Crystal Dunn this season with Coach Cabrera taking over. She talked to us a little bit about that. It's been an adjustment, a little more reined in, she said, a little more disciplined in what she does out there on the field.
She said, I'm the one who wreaks havoc. That's my job out there. So she's just having to find a new way to do it in her new role. And I think it took some time. I mean, just like any time you have a new head coach, it takes some adjustment. But the good thing is they had so many key pieces on this team that stayed the same. So although they had a new coach, they had a key core to this group that was able to stay quite the same.
Defense under some pressure. It is a wet field out here tonight, so you have to watch those back lines and how they hold up for both teams. Julie Johnston at the center of that Chicago defense. Nice turn by Dunn. Erin Gilliland on that right back for Chicago. And the Spirit really putting some pressure on, but can't keep possession. You'll hear us say that word quite a bit. It is something Washington did not feel they had nearly enough of the last time these two teams met.
Well, and even head coach of Chicago Red Stars, Rory Dames, was a little bit surprised by the lack of possession by Washington because he knows they're a possession-oriented team. And he was like, for some reason, they didn't come out to play soccer that day. They were real direct. And I think the Spirit surprised themselves by playing in that fashion. That's just not their style. And that's why this game is going to be so much fun. Two possession-oriented teams. It's the postseason. It's a brand new season. Win or go home. And take a look at the Red Stars defense.
Talked about both defenses going to be under some pressure, and Chicago's been one of the best defensively. Just 20 goals allowed this season. Casey Short has been a nice addition in that left back position. Of course, you have Alyssa Nair. Got the start for the United States in their last friendly against the Netherlands. Candidate for goalkeeper of the year in the NWSL. Whitney Church will play this back to Kelsey Weiss. And just get ready for it. You're going to see bad touches, right? I mean, that's what happens when the ball and the surface is this wet.
Well, and Church didn't help her out at all because she did give her a bit of a bouncing ball back to your keeper, trying to play it in the wet conditions. She was trying to handle that off the one hop.
Joanna Lohman, the old woman they call her, the grandma on this Washington Spirit team. Lohman at the ripe old age of 34.
Yeah, so old.
Chicago trying to turn through press.
I think both teams are just in that settling in phase right now. This is the first 5 minutes of the game. It's an 8 p.m. start. These two teams have been sitting around all day waiting for this game to get underway. As we said in the open, Washington wanted to redeem themselves from that 3-1 loss last year. And of course, Chicago, I mean, they cannot get that bad taste out of their mouth from that semifinal loss to Kansas City. Kristen Press said, we feel like we didn't even get to play a playoff game because we went down 3-0 25 minutes in, 26 minutes in.
Yep, 3 goals in the first 26 minutes for Kansas City last year in Chicago. Really took the Red Stars right out of it.
And they fought hard in that game, but they were just always chasing, and that's just tough when you're on your back foot right from the get-go.
Well, and a couple of the goals, as you and I were talking about, thinking back on that one, were really uncharacteristic errors. Had a goalkeeper error, had a bad back pass to the keeper, so it's really not the best performance once they got to the postseason. Spirit will work it back through Caprice Didasco. Second-year player for the Spirit out of Honolulu, played collegiately at UCLA. And Washington with two really good goalkeepers, they feel. Kelsey Weiss started now the last 11 matches, but a turnover is going to give the ball to Chicago. Johnston trying to hit press.
It's going to be a tough ball to catch up to on this surface. If there's anybody who could probably corral it and bring it down with a beautiful first touch, it would be Kristen Press, but
a lot to ask. Huster will play it back. Weiss, former Florida State Seminole, graduated as Florida State's all-time leader in wins, shutouts, holds 17 goalkeeping records down there in Tallahassee. And right now she's beat out current Canadian #1 goalkeeper Stephanie LeBay for the goalkeeping spot for the Spirit. Easy short. Doesn't really have anybody working with her along that sideline. And Whitney Church will just easily collect it and work it back through Weiss. Kendra, you talked about that core group of players for this Washington team really remaining intact, and Jim Gabarra, when he talked to us about that, said that he made a point of that because when he talked to people and he took the job here replacing Mark Parsons, everybody said how good the chemistry was.
And he said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That was his motto. He wants to come in and implement his style, but he wants to keep the core group together, not make any drastic changes to the lineup, to the roster, and try to work with his style and their style and the players you have. But absolutely, he was very cognizant of the chemistry of that team, of this team, and trying to kind of work together. I think probably the biggest change was the Crystal Dunn change as far as what her role was. And she even noted to us, look, everyone's commenting that I don't have the goals that I did last season, but as long as my team is getting wins and I have more assists than I ever had, that's something new for her, and she was very proud of it.
And Dunn working hard, helping to get the first corner of the match for the Spirit. Dunn, of course, the NWSL MVP, Golden Boot winner last season with 15 goals. And Coach Gabarra saying, I didn't want to have to rely on one player having to carry us like that again this season.
There she checks out to a short corner, and if she doesn't get the ball, it draws somebody out.
Near post ball headed away. Spirit will recollect it. Stefania Benini. Now Church. It's quite the international front line for the Spirit, with Benini out of Argentina, Ortega out of Nigeria, and then Dunn, of course, for the U.S. And I don't know about you, but I just love the chance to watch Crystal Dunn play. I mean, her work rate on and off the ball, you sense a change when she's involved.
Not only when she's getting the ball at her feet, but when she's making that run. Everything she does is at pace or with speed. She changes direction, changes on a dime, and she's so strong. Able to hold her own. It was fun to watch her last season just dominate the NWSL and then get another chance with the U.S. women's national team.
Press with a nice turn. That's nice. Taylor Camo running onto the ball, but it will dribble to Weiss.
It almost died there at the end. It looked like maybe a flag was up there for the offside call, but take a look at Kristen Press again in a bit of a different role. She drops in to that 10 position just a step offside, trying to slot that ball into Camo.
And we've seen Rory Dames do that a couple of times as Johnson has the ball blocked by a hard charging Ortega. Ortega with 2 goals, 1 assist, and 14 appearances for the Spirit this season. Long ball, Press chasing after it. Weiss knows she needs to come get it.
Well, and Press knows Weiss has to try to play that one on a wet surface off a hop, so she continued that run trying to pressure the goalkeeper into a mistake. But some good combination play. You see that chemistry developing between Vanessa DiBernardo and Kristen Press throughout the season has gotten better and better.
Nice touch there from Danielle Colaprico. Gilliland loves to attack when she gets the opportunity from the back line for Chicago. Foul will give the ball to the Spirit.
Colaprico, the 2015 NWSL Rookie of the Year. She picked up right where she left off last season. A key piece to this back line. Yeah, just caught her at the back of the legs there. She was trying to regain her ground defensively.
Colaprico in one of those positions similar to like a Joanna Lohman for Washington that does a lot of the work you don't always see as she helps out that back line from her holding midfield spot. Short. Gets it to the 2 front runners. But then just some miscommunication. Our referee this evening, Danielle Chesky, assisted by Corey Richardson, Adrian McDonald, and our 4th official, Christopher Spivey. Chicago made the playoffs for the first time in franchise history last year. They're back. And now Washington and Ortega charging the other way. Ortega and Short, who recovers enough, but will give up the corner.
One Ortega with a nice little turn there. She was able to use her body to shield. Make a nice little turn, good long touch. Well done though by Casey Short to recover and just get a toe poke on that one over the end line for the corner kick.
Christine Nairn will take the corner as she has done the last couple of seasons, takes the majority of these for the Spirit. Far post, Nair went out for it. She's gonna have to defend one from the other side now, 3rd of the match for Washington.
Well, that ball was just sailing right to Allie Krieger's head. It was a great ball in, nice corner kick to that far post, just enough on it. And Nair comes out, gets that fingertip, parries that one away out the other side. Otherwise, Allie Krieger was just, that's like a dream come true when you see a ball coming like that at your head.
Nair, a candidate for goalkeeper of the year for the work she's done for Chicago this season. Short ball played this time to Dunn. Play it right back. Now the ball sent back in and headed out. Serve up another one.
When you kind of got the feeling on that one that DiBernardo wasn't going to take any chances. She flicked that one out over the end line, even though Nair was just behind her goalkeeper. Every time Dunn runs out for the short corner, and this is the first time she's actually gotten the ball at the feet. And the Krieger played it back into that near post.
See what Krieger does this time. Again, right in the mix.
Whoa.
Couple of Washington players down. Dunn and Ortega both back up on their feet as the Spirit will try to keep coming here.
And I think this is just two players aggressive, wanting to get in on the attack, getting to the end of it. Both had the same idea.
Ortega trying to turn and does draw the foul.
And it looked like the arms of Samantha Johnson just wrapped around the waist there. And I think that's just a credit to Ortega and how dangerous she's been the last few minutes. She's forcing the Chicago Red Stars defense. And clearly, again, she was going to use her body to shield that ball and get inside the 18.
Pretty smart.
Very smart. That's twice now Chicago's had to find a way to either foul her or kick the ball out over the end line for a corner kick.
Let's see what the captain, Allie Krieger, wants to do here. Nair trying to get her defense set. Second thought. Now the ball delivered and headed by Ortega, but it'll dribble out. Well, coming up at halftime, we will have Jill Ellis joining us live to talk about the NWSL playoffs and, of course, have your first half highlights and stats. Trying to get a little cover with the hood up there. Good to see the U.S. national team coach in attendance. Always like to see who she might come and try to keep an eye on. Of course, supporting her current players, but you never know. Remember, Crystal Dunn really used an excellent season in the NWSL last year to help get her way back in the mix with the U.S. national team after not being a part of the World Cup team. Five U.S. national team players on the field tonight. Allie Krieger, of course, one of those. There's Dunn, who's maybe wreaking a little havoc. Switch sides, now trying to work with Vanini.
And you can see the thumbs up from the teammates there. They like the idea as Washington Spirit creating some opportunities, some good chances on the offensive end to start this half.
Mentioned the work Alyssa Nair had done this season, her first in Chicago. 6 shutouts. Came to the Red Stars after her time with Boston, and in no disrespect to that team, you could tell when we talked to her earlier how excited she was to be right where she is right now in the postseason with a chance to win a championship. This Chicago team.
That one just unlucky. Christine Nairn tries to do a nice little quick 1-2 combination play with Krieger and Dunn, but she actually had some time. Somebody's got to tell her she can take a touch, maybe turn there. Turn herself. She's dangerous offensively. Nairn with 3 goals and 3 assists on the season.
Chicago, good help, but then couldn't really get out of one another's way. Working in some tight space here, both teams. Lohman comes away with it. Has Dunn making a run and gives her a beautiful ball. Dunn, low cross, dribbles across the top of the box. Krieger waiting for it. Vanini just loses it. And then Chicago loses it right back. Tori Huster.
Big switch fields here. Out that other side would be kind of nice to open it up for Washington.
Vanini driving forward, looking for some options. Gets it to Dunn. Dunn gets around short. Nair comes out, knowing how dangerous that is when Crystal Dunn is in the box. Krieger sends it far post. Nobody really ready except the goalkeeper, Alyssa Nair.
Well, the strength of Dunn, she takes a pretty strong bump right here by another pretty strong player in short, and she somehow keeps her feet, holds her own, still gets a shot off, and Nair off her line with a big save.
Dunn again had a lot of the ball over here, takes a shot, and it's off the post.
We could hear that one from up here. That hit the post. She couldn't have played, I shouldn't say she couldn't have placed it any better, because I'm sure she wishes it was inside.
A couple more inches.
A couple inches, but man, she got that on that right foot. What an angle to take. She picked her head up for just a half a second to see where she needed to put that ball. And that's just too much time and space to give Crystal Dunn. You see Short step in at the last second there. Tries to close down that space, but Crystal Dunn already had it on her mind that she was going to rip that shot.
Spirit riding a little momentum here. Had some success on this side of the field. Ortega sprays out wide. And flag for offside was up. You know, it's interesting. One of the things in talking to the Washington players that they talked about, they said when you play Chicago, they try to box you in and keep you on one side of the field. And we've seen a ton of play here on this side, Kendra, but Washington has had some success getting some good looks.
They have been pinned in on this near side, but they're doing well with it. They're not letting it hamper what they're trying to do offensively. And if I'm Chicago, I don't know, I might want to switch it out the other side to get something going offensively, especially when you got Huerta and Gilliland on your opposite side on the far side. Those are two players that can get in on the attack.
Seen Chicago a couple of times try to work it through the middle, find Kristen Press, but really haven't had much success. Lohman working hard on the ball. Well, she's got some color up in the Mohawk for the postseason.
Embracing the individual style, right? That's Joanna Lohman's theme. Individual personality, individual style. What did she call it? Individual cool, or?
Yeah, getting ready to launch her own website. Find your cool,
Find
she said.
your cool. Embrace pretty much your own. Yeah, exactly. Embrace who you are. And I love what she said, too. She said, look, I found a team and a coach that appreciates my style and my work and what I put in on the field. It's the things that other people don't want to do necessarily on the field. That's what I do, the dirty work out there. Just get things done, whatever she can to make her team better. And she's found a coach and a style and a team that recognizes that.
It's great to see her career. She's had several stints here with teams in the Washington, D.C. area. I don't know if you noticed, sporting a black eye too. That's a dangerous ball played over the top. Weiss is going to have to get to it. But you can see it just holds up.
That wind is coming in from that far corner, and it is really whipping those flags. So every time Chicago has served a ball in, the couple times they have, it's hung up there.
So just about halfway through this first half of action in our first NWSL semifinal, scoreless between the Washington Spirit and the Chicago Red Stars. Nice ball. Christine Nairn trying to, Taylor Camo trying to get to it, excuse me. Washington hosting its first ever NWSL playoff match here at the Maryland Soccerplex in Boyd's, Maryland, just north of Washington, D.C., along with Kendra D. St. Aubin. I'm Jen Hildreth. Happy to have you with us here on FS1. We'll also be heading to the NWSL Championship next Sunday, October 9th. One of these two teams will have a place in Houston, BBVA Compass Stadium. And it will be a first big step for both of these clubs, a chance to make their first ever appearance in the NWSL final.
I think when we talked to Allie Krieger last week before our final regular season game in Houston, we were really focusing on, hey, don't you feel like you're kind of backing into the playoffs here? You lost your last two regular season games. You didn't clinch the Shield and you had a chance. But you got the feeling the Washington Spirit had already moved on from that. They were like, look, we're going to focus on the positive. We're hosting a playoff game. That was one of our main goals when we started this season. The Shield is nice, but there's two trophies. There's the Shield and there's the championship, and we want the championship trophy. We'd rather have that than the Shield.
Well, and you know, if you look back at NWSL history, the Shield winners have struggled. They have never won the NWSL championship, and you almost wonder if that's a little bit of what happened to Washington, knowing their place was set in the playoffs. Yes, they wanted the Shield, but they knew they were hosting. They knew they were going to make it to the postseason, and sometimes it is hard, no matter how hard you try, to ward off that feeling of comfort and coasting a little bit.
Well, and they made some changes to their lineup. They wanted to make sure people were healthy for the postseason and get everybody back on the same page. So mentally and physically, I think they had made some changes.
Camo bends that ball back in. Huerta in the vicinity. There's Naren. Ooh. Ortega gets in, but the flag is up. But you could see that burst of speed by Ortega.
It's fun to watch her style. She just rides along that back line, uses that burst of speed, reminds me a bit of Crystal Dunn. It's going to be fun to continue to see that partnership with those two players sitting up high. Dunn stretches out wide a little bit more to create some space, but when they do get up top together, it's going to be exciting.
I was going to say, as with all the NWSL teams, everybody trying to figure out how all their pieces fit when you have international players in and out, as all the teams have had the last couple of seasons. Huerta had Walls, but a foul will go against Chicago. Our final regular season standings mentioned that the Spirit had a chance to clinch the Shield, had a couple of chances actually, and those back-to-back losses at the end of the season at Seattle and at Chicago, along with 4 straight wins by Portland. What a finish to the season the Thorns have had. And this was the way things finished up. Johnston, ball gets out to Dunn. Short, a little unsure of what to do with that one. Luckily, nobody in a Washington jersey too close. Well, every weekday morning, Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp go head-to-head on the day's hottest sports topics. Undisputed with Skip and Shannon weekdays at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 a.m. Pacific, only on FS1. Kinder, we've talked a little bit about Washington and what they felt they needed to do better this time around against Chicago. What do you think you'd like to see from the Red Stars here?
Well, first of all, I think they felt really good about how they headed into the postseason with that 3-1 win over a pretty solid, formidable Washington Spirit team. But I think it's interesting because Kristen Press said, look, we just weathered a really tough, difficult season, and she was proud of this team and the way they weathered it, the way they showed some resilience, and they ended up here in the postseason. So I think they feel pretty good about the way they went into the postseason, the style they were playing. Everybody's starting to click. She loves the chemistry she's developed with DiBernardo. Huerta's really come on. They've got so many key pieces now that have, for a young team, they've really matured into a cohesive group.
And Chicago perhaps thankful they don't have to match up with Kansas City. The Blues have been their nemesis, and those were a couple of the struggles late in the season. A loss and a draw in back-to-back matches against FC Kansas City.
It's a great run by Casey Short on this near side, but Allie Krieger always keeping an eye on that near side.
Well, she knows all about outside backs trying to get up and be a part of the attack. Wall's not a good enough touch. Being told everyone available for Chicago, by the way, including Stephanie McCaffrey, who's been a fantastic addition when healthy, has struggled a little bit with some injuries. But Rory Dames telling us everybody available for his team this evening. Ortega. Chicago breaks 3. Walls. Didasco on that far side for Washington, couldn't find the pass. DiBernardo fouled.
Well, Whitney Church came flying up the middle of the field trying to intercept that ball, and definitely late on it. DiBernardo takes a knock.
Chicago still looking for its first shot of this match. Just haven't really been able to get in any dangerous positions in that final third. Johnston will try to do so off the set piece. Huerta and Press have been fantastic, both really stepping up down the stretch for Chicago. DiBernardo. She'll take it herself. Ball sent into the box. Camo with a nifty little touch, but didn't work out that time. Nairn.
There's that switch field. The Spirit said they wanted to get against the Chicago Red Stars team. Don't get pigeonholed into one side. Switch the field to the point of attack and move the ball quickly. Can't do it slowly. You got to switch that point.
And you can just see, look at the Red Stars closing in, bringing that pressure the longer that Washington takes on the ball. Mentioned the work of Huerta and Press. Both of those players, both of them have scored in 4 of the last 5 matches for Chicago. 15 of the Red Stars' 24 goals on the season. Clicking at the right time ever since the Olympics. Krieger has done. Nairn making a run as well. Done. Can't control it that time. Saw Kristen Press a moment ago. We can see her down here having a conversation with Rory Dames.
Well, even on that last combination play, when Chicago tries to get out quickly in transition, you can see the combination play, but they miss on that last pass. It's that last pass to get out of pressure. They're just off by a couple steps.
And you could see Press is ready to release if she can just get the ball delivered. She is dancing right along that back line of Washington. Comes back to the ball this time, knows it's not a good touch. Washington again trying to switch it through to Dasco. Ortega slips, and it'll be a free kick for the Spirit. Fans, mark your calendar right now for the 2016 National Women's Soccer League Championship on Sunday, October 9th at BBVA Compass Stadium in Houston. Tickets for the NWSL Championship game are on sale now at NWSLchampionship.com with prices starting at just $20.
Talk about some serious soccer fans, the ones showing up for this game today. All day it's been cloudy and drizzly, and the weather only got worse as we got toward game time, and the fans just funneled in. The stands are full, the grass is full on the end. Nobody was staying away for this game.
I love it. You said as we were driving in, you said, you know what, fans though in this area, they don't care. They're good soccer fans. They're gonna be here as Lohman tries to bring it down. Spirit Squadron making themselves heard. It's a pretty intimate venue here at the Maryland Soccerplex. Fans right on top of the field, which they love and which the Spirit players love. And a 5th corner of the first half coming up as Melly Krieger will go over to take it for Washington. See, they got their hats. They're selling hot cocoa and cider.
If anybody wants to run one of those up here,
Make
if
that
you can hear the wind in the mics here.
Krieger has sent in some dangerous balls. This one driven center of the box. Johnston, as she so often does, gets to it first.
That was a perfect ball in right on that 6-yard box, but Julie Johnston just patrols that area.
Another great ball by Zadorsky, and it's a goal!
And Allie Krieger, the player on the opposite side of the ball, capable of getting a head on it. Just as we were talking about Julie Johnston clearing it, Allie Krieger for the Washington Spirit, the player that can always get on the end of it. She's clearly a target on these corner kicks. If she's not taking the corner herself, she took that corner. It comes out the other side, and then she's able to get on the end of it. She stays active inside the box, the ball played back out, and look at this ball served in on that back post. Just a beautiful flick on by Allie Krieger, the captain, giving her team the 1-0 lead.
Excellent service from the Canadian international, Shelina Zadorsky, who missed the last match against Chicago, dealing with an ankle injury, but gorgeous ball. And Krieger, the captain, giving her team the lead in the 36th minute.
And all that, though that goal didn't come directly off the corner kick, you just felt like it came as a result of the action of them getting, what was that, their 5th, 6th corner kick already of the half? You just felt like something was going to come of it. They were putting the pressure on Chicago, getting that ball to the end line and forcing the issue.
See how the Red Stars respond. Ball in the box, this on the other side, and the touch popped well over the goal. Taylor Comeau, first year with the Red Stars, and one of those players who made the team after open tryouts. Let's get another look at the goal to put the Spirit up.
Well, in a left-footed bent ball back in towards the goal. That's tough to redirect and get a head on sometime, but she finds a way. Alyssa Nair, no chance to make a save on that one. That was such close range. Allie Krieger somehow sneaks inside the mark on the far side.
Zadorsky with her first assist of the season, and it was a beauty.
But she picked a good time to have one.
Yeah. Second goal of the season for Krieger. And one of the notes I love about Allie, and remember this, after the Olympics, she was the first player back after the Olympics. Came back and played in Washington's match on August 18th at Houston. Ready to get back to her club team and get going after a disappointing finish for the United States in Rio. Press again, making that run. Whitney Church had to control it.
That ball just hanging up, though. I mean, they're playing that long ball, a little direct, trying to find Kristen Press, and the wind is so strong in her face, it's just not even giving her the chance to run underneath it. Just dying in the air. Normally, she'd take one little touch and be off to the races in the other direction. She just can't even get under it.
Washington breaks out of it. That is Benini. Not too far out of her reach, though. Estefania Benini, a player, as you see Ortega, those two internationals in that front line for Jim Cabrera, bringing very different qualities. We talked to Coach Cabrera about Benini. She's been out, had a little bit of a minor knee surgery just about a month ago, made her first appearance back in the 81st minute of the last match against Chicago, so now back in the starting lineup. Colaprico and Lohman doing a lot of that work in the midfield for their respective teams. That ball is going to go right to Kristen Press. She brings it down. Still a chance in the box for Chicago. Ball still alive. Weiss couldn't grab it. Now finally, Kelsey Weiss has calmed down, wipes the gloves off. I got it.
Well, at first I thought maybe Press was in an offside position when she received that ball, but I think it came off the defender there. Settles it down, tries to make a turn, pops up in the air. Somehow Weiss keeps her eyes on it. And is able to corral it in the midst of all that traffic.
And you know all those Spirit defenders were like, you got it? You got it yet?
Because you don't want to go in and poke your toe in there if she's trying to hang on to it.
Tori Euster. Anna Naren. Dunn.
Whoops.
That about covers that. Not exactly what Crystal Dunn was hoping to do with that ball. Dunn with 3 goals in her career against the Chicago Red Stars. And she's also one of 3 Washington Spirit players on this roster who have started the previous 2 playoff matches, but Crystal has yet to score in the postseason. Washington falling at the hands of Shield winner Seattle in each of the last 2 years. Dunn on the ball again, trying to work with Lohman. Huerta having to come back and defend, and does her job.
Well, look like Lohman maybe a little bit of a two-handed grab, just move Huerta out of the way to get to that ball, gets whistled for the foul.
Washington, a team that has said they love to possess. They have certainly had more of the possession in this first half. They also have the match's only goal so far. Chicago trying desperately to get the ball up to Kristen Press. It's been so valuable to this team this season, and MVP candidate in the NWSL.
Whoops.
And Naren just about making Chicago pay for that one. Short trying to step in and win it for Chicago. A lot of roster turnover for this Chicago team since last year. Maury Dames talking about trying to make that next step. Likes this group that he has here.
Well, they lost some veterans on this Chicago team. He said it was a different role. Kristen Press and Julie Johnston both had to take a leadership role on this roster, something they weren't really used to. And then when they left for the Olympic break, then it was up to Vanessa DiBernardo to step in as the leader. And each of them did it in their own way, but really developed throughout the season as leaders of the Chicago team.
Lori Kalupny, one of those big leadership voids that the Red Stars had to fill after her retirement. Bonini trying to get past 2 Chicago defenders. Dunn comes in to help out Ortega. Now has it taken away by Johnson. Or does she? Dunn back on it. Trying to turn the corner on Short. Gets the ball into the box. Off a face, off a hand. Nothing. Chicago has the ball. Press brings it down. First touch a little too out in front.
A little off tonight for her. That's what, 2 or 3 touches, which isn't a lot by most people's standards, but for Kristen Press, unusual to not see her bring that down cleanly.
Dunn. Short has her hands full with Crystal Dunn on this side. Krieger coming in to help. She has the game's only goal, bends it, and out of bounds. Let's take a look at that last chance, though.
Just the hard work to get to the end line. It looked like a handball to me, deflected off the foot up to the hand.
Usually when
Huerta with that one.
Put your hands up in the air like I didn't do it, usually means you did. But no call. Tough to see, too. Pretty bang-bang play in there.
But I think what it shows you is Washington attacking in that offensive third, defending. They said they wanted to turn the ball over in the defensive third of the field for Chicago, force those turnovers, and get the ball in a good position to be on the attack, and that's what they did right there.
First half over, and the Washington Spirit behind their captain Allie Krieger lead it 1-0. The Spirit unbeaten when they lead at the half this season, a perfect 12-0. So that's a good sign for Washington. There you go, trying to hang on, keep that number going. And after seeing Chicago get off to a quick start in their last meeting, it's Washington who gets on the board first here tonight. And we are now joined by Spirit head coach Jim Gabarra. Well, Coach, you told us about some adjustments you were hoping your team would make. What did you think of this first half?
I was very pleased with it. We got a hold of the tempo. We put them under pressure and played in their half most of the time and had some good chances, ended in some dead balls, lots of corner kicks, and we were finally rewarded with kind of a reset corner there with Allie at the back post.
Well, what about defensively? You've been able to keep their attack quiet, specifically Kristen Press. I mean, gonna change the game plan at all here with the direction of the wind? It's pretty fierce out there.
No, I think the biggest thing there is to get good pressure on the ball so that they don't serve it over the top in transition, and make sure that I think Press has started to leak out over behind Allie, since Allie's had so much success going forward, and we got to make sure that she's not cheating too much and making sure she's aware of her zone as well.
Coach, thank you so much. Always appreciate hearing from you.
Thank you, guys.
Jim Gabarra and the Washington Spirit holding court at home, at least so far. Zadorsky with a beautiful ball to find Allie Krieger in the 36th minute. The Spirit lead at 1-0, and we've got U.S. national team coach Jill Ellis ready to join us after this. Bit windy, but the fans still here supporting their Washington Spirit team, which leads the Chicago Red Stars 1-0 after the first half of play, and the first of two NWSL semifinals we'll have for you in FS1 this weekend. Jen Hildreth, Kendra D. St. Aubin, and our guest up here in our little tent, Jill Ellis, U.S. national team coach. What do you think of the action so far?
Well, it's good. I mean, I think DC were building, and I think the goal was inevitable. But, you know, I'm sure Rory has some choice words in the locker room, and I think Chicago will definitely come out a bit more inspired.
Well, and he's a pretty good motivator with his words. What kind of adjustments do you think Gabarra is going to make on the other side, or does he even need to make any for how good his team has been playing?
Well, the biggest thing is he's got to make sure he deals with the counter, and so I think, you know, he's got to be a little bit conservative and make sure Press isn't left alone. But, you know, at the moment, Chicago's direct ball, they've got nothing underneath to support it. So I think they're going to have – Chicago will definitely have to adjust and pick it up a little bit.
Well, let's talk about the U.S. team a little bit. Had a couple of friendlies this past month, a couple more coming up in October. What is the calendar like, and what are you and your staff looking at and doing right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, prioritizing two things, and it was making sure we have an aggressive schedule. We can't afford to not play the top teams and have any down year. Everything we're doing now is preparing for, you know, the next major event. So I think the aggressive schedule is important, and then looking for players, you know, just continuing to expand our pool. Now's the time. A major world event's a few years away, so it's definitely a chance to look at other players.
Well, we talk about looking at other players. You've got a great league here that you can come out and examine. You've got a great pool you're already choosing from. Then you've got the U17 World Cup going on, the U20 World Cup. So much young talent. Is it a good problem to have with the plethora of talent you guys have out there?
It is. It's fantastic. I mean, obviously at this point, you know, making sure we're vetting the league and, you know, rewarding players that have done well, that we think, you know, deserve a look in our environment. That's important. But yeah, I mean, I've seen the 17s. I think they start tomorrow, and they are a fantastic little team. So yeah, and they're going to be 16, 17, and I think at this point, no player is too young.
So you've got the two U17, U20 World Cups, as Kendra talked about, but how much of a benefit is to you? I know we've talked to you before, NWSL, and being able to see the talent here and see these players play at this level. How much does that help you?
I mean, for sure, because, you know, they're in a professional environment, and it's different when you suddenly now play against women week in and week out. It's different than even, you know, the college environment. So I think that's really important. I think we've attracted good international players, which obviously adds more to our league. But I think for us, it's just making sure our players have a place to play. And, you know, especially right now, it's a critical time because obviously we're not in, you know, our programming is going to be mainly FIFA events, FIFA dates. So, you know, making sure these players have a place to play is vital.
Everyone has said how competitive the league has been top to bottom, so sure appreciate you stopping by as you take in this playoff match.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, that was U.S. national team coach Jill Ellis joining us tonight here just north of Washington, D.C. Coming up on Sunday, semifinal number 2 taking place from Portland as the Thorns take on the Western New York Flash. Portland won the last meeting 3-2. We were there for it, expecting a lot of offense. Once again, that match kicks off at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 Pacific on FS1 on Sunday. We'll have much more from the half here for you from the Maryland Soccerplex. So be sure to stick with us. The Spirit lead it 1-0. Hey guys, somebody in that line can bring a hot apple cider up to the booth anytime. The Washington Spirit leading the Chicago Red Stars 1-0 after the first half here at the Maryland Soccerplex. And Crystal Dunn was busy in this first half for the Spirit.
It was fun to watch her get her groove on. She just rifled that shot and hits that post. And so many corner kicks for Washington. You just felt like it was only a matter of time before they were going to find a way to finish. And what a beautiful ball in by Shalina Zadorsky. And who else but Allie Krieger getting on the end of it. A little flick on. Somehow she finds herself inside of her mark on that far post.
Beautiful service from Zadorsky. Her first assist of the season at the moment has the Spirit out in front. They have not lost this season when they've led at the half. Second half action coming up. Julie Johnston with some stern words for her team at the half as her Red Stars trail the Washington Spirit 1-0. And we get set to start the second half in this first NWSL semifinal of 2016. Jen Hildreth, Kinder D. St. Aubin, our FS1 crew, here with you from the Maryland Soccerplex. And we heard Jim Gabera, head coach for the Spirit, tell us at the half that Kristen Press, while she has not had a great chance yet, has been dangerous along that back line. Interesting to see how Chicago comes out here in this second half as Gilliland loses it in the corner. Colaprico. Drizzling rain coming down on a chilly night. Temperatures dropped a bit. It was mid-60s when we were making our way over to the stadium. There you see Gabera, the only head coach who has been a head coach of a women's professional team every year there has been a league here in the United States. And has had plenty of time coaching in this Washington, D.C. area, coming back and coaching the Spirit after 3 years with Sky Blue FC in NWSL. Short loses it. Krieger trying to work through Lohman, and then Short with that great recovery speed gets back. Johnson and Johnston in the center of the defense and the back line for Chicago. One of the best all year in the NWSL.
Well, we kind of sort of joke about the coaching carousel in the NWSL, but 3 of the coaches in the 4 playoff teams are new to their teams this season, not new to the league, clearly. Rory Dames, the only coach that was with his group last season with the Red Stars.
Ortega.
Everybody else kind of trading places and finding success wherever they go, it seems.
Yeah, Paul Riley in Western New York getting back to go see his former team, Portland, on Sunday. Naren finding some space for Bonini. Ball sent back in. Ortega tracks it down. Here comes Didasco. Oh, pretty ball. Johnston finally gets it out of danger.
I don't know how Naren was so wide open inside the box. That ball just floating in. And look at, she's still reacting. She is still hanging her head back, wishing she had done better with that volley, completely unmarked inside the box.
Don't want to let opportunities like that pass you by without at least getting one on frame.
And if you're Chicago, you're thinking, man, we kind of looked out there because we could have gone down 2-0 here early in the second half on the road to a team that's dominant at home. Got to get a little tighter on that marking inside the box for Chicago.
Ortega couldn't collect it, nor could Nairn.
Gilliland now has to track all the way back. She's trying to make a run in to help.
Crystal Dunn working with Ortega, the Nigerian international. Ortega couldn't get around Johnston, but Johnston thought she had some help. You can hear her yelling at her defense as Didasco keeps the ball alive, and a little bit of disorganization in the back to start the second half for Chicago.
It's interesting, not that they look frazzled, but you're right, a little bit of disorganization, and that's a group that's played solidly together the entire season. Gilliland trying to get in on the attack on the last play when Huerta was bringing the ball up, then she turns it over. She's trying to track back. Johnston's covering ground. But yeah, a little bit of confusion here on that back line right now for Chicago.
This is the ball that Chicago all night long has been trying to get for Kristen Press.
She only needs about, not even a half chance, Kristen Press, though. She needs about a third of a chance. A little window of opportunity to rip a shot and finish. We've seen some beautiful finishes.
Casey Short sends it in. Huerta to DiBernardo. Nice ball by DiBernardo. In the box is Press. Lohman eventually wins it for the Spirit. Good pressure, though, by the Red Stars. Gets it back in Chicago's possession. DiBernardo will unleash one. Maybe not a bad idea on a wet surface.
Not a bad idea. Wind at her back out on the wet surface. I mean, Chicago's hardly taken any shots on the night. Gilliland was making a run on the right flank, but I think that's a good option for Vanessa. You might as well, because then you draw the defense out. Keep them honest. Maybe if something else opens up inside the box, slot it through next time.
And you can see when Kelsey Weiss, the goalkeeper, delivered that ball, the water spraying off the ground as she did so. Field, I'm sure, a bit saturated after all this rain it's had. Turnover by the Spirit.
That first touch just has to be a little bit cleaner so they can get the switch out this near side.
Neither team has used a sub yet, as Dunn trying to work with Didasco. She loses it out of bounds. Well, you talked about, Kendra, how good Washington has been at home this season. How about that? They've only allowed 5 goals, 7 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss here at the Maryland Soccerplex this season. DiBernardo does well to keep it going for Chicago. Short with her left foot drives it into the box. Initially, nobody got to it.
And nobody on the second ball as it comes out. Luckily, they get it.
Colaprico trying to make something happen. Now Huerta unleashes it high.
How about that quick release, though? She just took one little touch, got it set up in front of her. And you can see the power she's gotten on that shot.
Huerta, second on the team in scoring this season. 7 goals, 2 assists.
Colaprico finds her nicely. One touch out in front. Just a little bit too much onto that one. But Chicago's starting to press.
And that's really one of the ways that they gain success, isn't it? They put that pressure on, try to create some turnovers.
Create some turnovers in that third of the field, and I do think the wind is going to have an effect on the second half here.
Press. Thought about it maybe for a moment. A lot of defense right in front of her. Johnston to Huerta. She'll take it, deflects. That's Gilliland. The defense being really aggressive here for Chicago. A lot of players up in the attack. Nair has come way out. Johnson maybe not sure the way that ball is held up in the wind and the bounces off the pitch tonight.
I think
she had to play it.
I think Johnson made the right decision. It looked like Nair was trying to tell her, she was holding her off like she was going to come out and get it, but it did. It just died in that wind. And Johnson made the right decision to continue and follow through to clear that ball.
Gilliland to DiBernardo. Cara Walls. Oh, she's going to come through with it. Walls had her first goal of the season in the last match, trying to tack on another. How big would that one have been?
Well, how about the toe poke by Zadorsky? Last second there, Shalina Zadorsky gets her foot on that one. As looked like Walls was just about to line this one up and slide it home. Somehow she gets a deflection. First, she gets a beautiful assist on the goal. And then she maybe saved the day there from a game-tying goal because good pressure by Chicago here. All of a sudden, they're coming to life in that offensive third.
As Zadorsky, 23-year-old defender out of London, Ontario, member of the Canadian national team that won bronze at the Rio Olympics this summer. Well, this week, as the MLS playoffs draw near, the Vancouver Whitecaps set their sights on finishing above the red line as they face the Seattle Sounders. Don't miss all the action beginning at 8 Eastern on FS1. Both Washington and Chicago tonight trying to win their first ever NWSL playoff game. You think both of these teams want it?
Well, those are two players that are pretty familiar with each other. I'm guessing they go against each other quite a bit with the full national team. Crystal Dunn tries a cute little heel flick here on that near side. Watch this. But Julie Johnson read it perfectly. That ball looked like it was already out of bounds, and then maybe a little bit of an extra shove there in front of the fans. They weren't too happy about it.
Nairn with a nice move. Perhaps thought she saw something, could catch Nair off her line. Nairn, a local player who's from Annapolis, Maryland, was the Gatorade Player of the Year in Maryland from 2005 to 2007. So back on her home turf, so to speak, after she went to Penn State.
I think we could say that about half this roster went to Penn State.
Oh, yeah, there are a lot of Penn State players and a lot of players with local connections. Lohman, another one of those for Washington. Dunn, Nordega, excuse me.
She's not on the same page with that one. She's got that little turn down though, doesn't she?
Nice.
A really smooth motion with that quick turn. Played at the World Cup in 2015 with Nigeria.
And we're going to have our first card of the match against Nairn. Gave a little dismissive hand to our referee, did Nairn, after that one. Frustrated with the call.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what she's frustrated with.
I mean, Gilliland with that quick speed move, she was ready to go down that right flank, and good call by the referee. That was pretty clear.
So now free kick coming for DiBernardo and the Red Stars.
She's got the, not really the wind at her back as it's coming at the other angle now, but see where she serves this one in, just on the edge of the 18.
You got it. It's exactly where it goes. Huerta comes down with it. Lays a beautiful ball. It's Press running onto it. Good idea, though, by Huerta.
Well, nice to see the combination play there between those two, because once they can start to link up, even though Huerta's on this near side on the flank, if she can find a way to cut in and be effective, and then Kristen Press makes those beautiful slicing runs in behind that defense, that's where I think they're going to find some success. Because right now, Chicago has not been able to break down the midfield of Washington the entire first half and to start the second half here.
Well, they bypassed it quite often, trying to look for that ball over the top for Press. Gilliland, here comes Nairn again. Colaprico will have to turn back to Johnston. Ortega applying some pressure. Colaprico, Gilliland trying to make a run central.
And that's where I thought maybe Kristen Press would make that second run in behind, because she had two players that had checked in, Gilliland and Walls, filling that space.
DiBernardo try to switch it, but Ali Krieger speeds over to intercept the ball and then draws the foul.
I don't know, I maybe do a no call on that one. I mean, I'd have to take a look at it again, but it looked like just a good physical battle, and Krieger slid over, read that play nicely. A little bit of a collision, but I don't know, I say no call on that one.
I'm with you. And yeah, Ali Krieger, a tough defender. She probably wouldn't argue much.
She was still playing. She wasn't complaining. She was going to get up and try to keep possession there.
Good service from Weiss on the free kick. Buster and Lohman trying to keep it down in that end. Colaprico's pass broken up. It goes to Ortega, who's now on the far side of the field for the Spirit. He'll need some help to get out of trouble, and does well. Wow, I'm not sure exactly what that was by Crystal Dunn.
I don't know if she got a little bit of a shove when she went up for the header, because she looked like she was trying to flick that on.
Something looked awkward,
yeah,
for sure.
And Julie Johnston was right on her back marking.
And ball's still in play, meanwhile.
If there was contact or not. That's a nice little slotted ball through. You can see the runs off the ball by Washington. Oh, yeah. I think that's a foul. Don't you?
A foul and a penalty.
I mean, she's clearly going up to head the ball, and Johnston made no play on the ball whatsoever there, as Johnston was checking too and going to flick that on. You know, Crystal Dunn didn't say a word. She didn't make any sort of argument after that one, but if she had an argument to be made, I think that's why we heard the crowd's reaction on that far side. They had a better shot at it. Clearer view.
Well, and now a dangerous spot for a free kick for the Spirit. Krieger. Nair ready in goal. Chicago wins it initially and then is able to track back and get the ball, but immediately gives it right back to the Spirit.
Well, they're really slow to get out too. I mean, Walls sprints over to that ball to keep it. Granted, she's going to have to just launch it to get it out, but the whole back line and midfield of Chicago is real slow to jog out and try to clear out.
Crystal Dunn caught offside. This Washington Spirit team was the first to lock up a playoff spot and sat at the top of the table for a while during the regular season. They split with the Chicago team during the regular season, both teams winning on their home field. And I think both teams would agree. Well, actually, Chicago might not. Washington certainly feeling like they're playing a better match than they did just 6 days ago in that 3-1 loss at Chicago. The Red Stars, you get a sense, have not really been able to find their groove yet.
Sometimes it's tough to balance out. Is that Washington Spirit's doing what they're doing to them, or is it just Chicago maybe not implementing their game plan right from the first kick? Because they've sort of seemed just to step off since the whistle blew. And Washington, they found their feet early.
Nice flick from Dunn for Bonini. One times it, and Nair safely gets her body behind the ball.
And again, the movement off the ball by the Washington Spirit, I think that's what's creating all these opportunities. They are not hesitating to make those runs. A nice little flick on again. Crystal Dunn creating for her team, and a low-driven shot by Bonini. And Nair with the save keeps it in front of her.
A foul on the other end of the field is going to give Chicago the ball. You talk about quick touches and the value of them, though. Beautiful sequence there. Nice flick on by Dunn, and then Bonini didn't waste any time.
And none of it's possible if your teammates aren't making those runs off the ball, and I think that's something that Chicago is missing. Those runs off the ball, the second, the third run.
DiBernardo to take it. A floating ball to the back post. You can see exactly what they were trying to do with Cara Walls.
She didn't miss by much. I was lunging up here in the booth trying to get on the end of that one.
And the first substitution of the match coming now for Chicago. Wondered if we'd get a chance to see Steph McCaffrey come in. Great to see her back healthy for the Red Stars. Did not play in the last match against Washington. Her last appearance was a start against Kansas City on September 11th. Played 24 minutes before going out of that match with an injury. So maybe Rory Dame sharing your sentiment, Kendra, wanting to switch things up a little bit. And McCaffrey had been really good when she first came over mid-season trade to join the Red Stars. Joined the team on July 22nd and really started strong.
Well, she admitted herself, probably the best thing that happened to her was that Olympic break, because she was able to come into the Red Stars those first couple games, maybe some nerves trying to adjust to a new team and a new style. She had that Olympic break to stay with the group that was still in Chicago, learn the way they like to do things, learn their philosophy, and felt like she was really starting to click. But we all know it takes a little time, a little chemistry to develop between her and Press or whoever she's playing with up top.
And you wonder if McCaffrey may be one of those players Jill Ellis keeping an eye on. She has 6 appearances with the U.S. national team. Lohman blocks it. What did she say? I do all the dirty work that nobody else wants to do, but I love it. Do it to make everybody around me better. Caprice Tedesco, UCLA product, member of the Bruins 2013 National Championship, takes the throw for Washington. Lohman patrolling that midfield for the Spirit.
Somehow Chicago's going to have to find a way to keep the ball, but Washington doing a good job with the high pressure. Look at, they've got them completely contained in this quarter of the field over here, forcing Chicago to just continue to boot the ball away, struggling to find a way to possess it out of their own half.
Little taste of Chicago's own medicine,
exactly.
Huh? Trapping on one side of the field. Nairn out to Bonini, now Ortega.
That one-touch ball movement. Nice overlapping run.
Krieger. Good throw to restart things by Nair. Gilliland Former Kentucky Wildcat will just wear herself out moving up and down this sideline.
Gilliland not getting in on the attack nearly as much as we're used to, but I think she's just had a lot of defensive responsibilities the other direction, pinching in and helping out.
A good step in right there by Chicago, and the shot has to be blocked out by Weiss. That's another thing, we really haven't seen it in this match, but when you're on a wet field, you always have to be ready for those deflections and rebounds off of shots. 1-0 our score. The Washington Spirit getting out front in the 36th minute behind Allie Krieger's second goal of the season. And listen to the crowd as Joanna Lohman comes off for Washington. So perhaps a little bit of an offensive substitution as Canadian international Diana Matheson comes in. She has 4 goals on the season, and Chicago also bringing in Amanda DaCosta for Taylor Camo. Gilliland steps in to win it. Huerta trying to help out. McCaffrey making a run. Press trying to get it to McCaffrey. And there you see the substitution we just mentioned for Chicago, Amanda DaCosta, member of the Portuguese national team, comes on for the Red Stars. McCaffrey will earn a corner kick.
Well, and again, just right away, what's that, her first touch, second touch maybe on the ball since she stepped on the field. You can see the comfort level. She gets it at her feet, tries to take a player on, gets it to the end line, and a corner kick.
First one for Chicago, so let's see what the Red Stars do with this opportunity. Under 20 minutes to play. Driven ball toward Johnston.
It looked like Johnston was still walking up to even get in position, like she wasn't ready for that ball to be sent in.
Colaprico, near mirror image, really, of the ball that set up the goal in the first half for Washington from Zadorsky to Krieger, but that one not quite as on point as the service from the Spirit in the first half. Chicago with a quick restart to Johnston. You gotta think that is a difficult ball if you're trying to keep possession and build your attack. You're asking your right back, Gilliland, to have to win it in the air and bring it down.
Well, just about the only thing she could do with it there is what she did with it. Head it and, you know, get her heels on the line and head it back into play.
Press trying to work with McCaffrey. Due to Olympic duty for Press and injury for McCaffrey, those two haven't had as much time together as they'd like. No time like the present.
Tedesco just gets her toe in there. You can see her following the ball, not trying to dive in, keeping an eye on the ball and not the feet.
Colaprico again with some time. A little short on that service. Done. Can't win it. Nobody home on the back post for Chicago. Just Krieger will try to keep it from going out of bounds. It does. We've told you all night long about how impressed we are with this hardy crowd here at the Maryland Soccerplex. 4,249 on hand here tonight for this first ever NWSL home playoff match for the Spirit.
Well, it was so great when we talked to the players this week is they absolutely, every one of them mentioned the group, the crowd, playing in front of their home fans. It wasn't just about, hey, we don't have to travel. Hey, we're in our friendly confines. Hey, we like our field. It was about the fans. They love the support they get, the proximity to the field, and the energy they bring. And I'm so happy to see they stepped it up here tonight and continue to bring the energy in these conditions.
Dunn trying to make a run there. Well, you think about this organization has had women's professional soccer dating back to WUSA, WPS, W League, press. Can she bring it down and get her shot? Boy, she's had a couple of opportunities like that, which you wouldn't call easy, but which you would call good ones for a player like Kristen Press.
Well, nice combination there. Julie Johnston picks her head up. Kristen Press makes a perfect run, and then she kind of dropped off of her mark. Found a way to bring it down cleanly with her chest, and you know she's going to want that one back. Those are the kind that Kristen Press just rockets into the back of the net. Nice little volley out of the air. You can see that kind of connection that her and Johnston had on that long ball. Johnston knew exactly where she wanted it, and Press knew exactly where to make the run.
There's Matheson trying to connect with Ortega. Broken up by the Red Stars. Diana Matheson, a veteran of this Washington Spirit team, 4th year, is their all-time leading scorer, 23 NWSL goals all-time. Good job by Didasco to win it. She's trying to do a little more with it. Ortega feels she was tripped up. Our referee says play on. Casey Short. Ortega is still down on the ground now. She'll get to her feet, try to get out of the way of Matheson. Apparently she got back on side in time. The shot, but high.
I'm actually surprised she was considered in an onside position there. She sort of just stood up, took 2 steps, and then received the ball.
Agree. I was
surprised the flag didn't go up on that one. Here's another look. She lays that ball off for the shot. She's been involved in almost every offensive opportunity that Washington has had tonight.
Ortega?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been fun to watch her.
A player who's making her 14th appearance for Washington this season. And our referee, Danielle Chesky, calming everybody down a little bit, understanding the intensity, everything that's on the line of these two teams trying to make it to their first ever NWSL championship game next Sunday in Houston. Good work by Gilliland, but then Johnston gives it away, the long ball. Krieger is trying to pick out Bonini. Well, fans, mark your calendar now for the 2016 National Women's Soccer League Championship. We just talked about it on Sunday, October 9th at BBVA Compass Stadium in Houston. Tickets for the NWSL Championship game are on sale now at NWSLchampionship.com. Prices starting at $20. Come on and join us in Houston. Can't wait for that one. At these two teams tonight, Portland and Western New York on Sunday to decide who will play for the championship, as Johnston will continue her run, but the ball goes out of bounds. Huerta, Matheson trying to step in. DiBernardo out to press, one times it into the box. Oh, it's just wide. McCaffrey looked like she had the equalizer on her foot.
Look at the combination. Wow, she might have been a step offside there. Either way, the flag doesn't go up. And McCaffrey has a golden opportunity to slot that one home. Press has had some chances now. McCaffrey has had some chances since she just stepped in. Let's see if Chicago can find a way to even this one up.
Talked about how much they wanted to get last year's home playoff loss to Kansas City, that taste out of their mouth. Ortega to Dunn here on the other end for Washington. Dunn trying to get around Johnson. She gets there. Oh, Crystal Dunn going for that back post. Matheson has Krieger. And a corner kick coming, a well-deserved one for the Spirit.
The work and the speed of Crystal Dunn. I mean, watch this little move right there. Quick little two-touch, gets around her with the speed, and somehow gets her hips around that cross to keep it in bounds. She's sprinting full speed to the end line, keeps the ball not only in bounds, but serves it right across the box and gets a corner kick.
I like that little swim move she tried to work in there, too.
Pretty sure I would have fallen on my face if I had attempted that one. I'll leave that one for Crystal Dunn.
That's right. Sixth corner kick of the match. First of the second half, though, for the Spirit. Nairn to take it. Drives it. Right punched out by Nair.
Ooh, almost another collision on top of the box. We had that same thing happen in the first half with two other Washington Spirit players.
Benini was saying, you gotta let me take it. She was coming on, ready to volley that ball, it looked like.
Yeah, the player coming on as opposed to the player running back away from goal. We can't tell from up here if she'd called her off. But Nair with a nice punch out on the corner kick, too.
She's been solid, as she has been all season long. One of the top goalkeepers in the league for Chicago.
Talk about somebody who's excited and appreciative of the NWSL. Alyssa Nair. I mean, she just had nothing but great things to say about this league and how much she loves being able to play in it.
Well, certainly it helps her. I mean, she had been the backup to Hope Solo for so long. Now with Hope's suspension, Alyssa getting some time, but just 8 international appearances with the U.S. national team. She's had a lot of time where she's just sat there on the bench. This gives her a chance to play in really competitive environments.
You can only train so much, and you need that game action.
Short, looking for press. The one-timer, and we're tied. In the 81st minute, Kristen Press finally comes through for Chicago.
The one-time volley. Look at this ball. They switch the fields. They get some width. They get some space. A nice left-footed ball served in. And somehow, Kristen Press finds herself unmarked and open. She just sneaks behind Shalina Zadorsky. One-time volley, upper corner. And a great ball served in by Casey Short.
No doubt, and you just got the feeling with Kristen Press. It was really only a matter of time for her because we said there were a couple of chances. You're used to seeing her finish off, and that, she took one touch, and it was a perfect touch. McCaffrey drawing the foul. Fans not liking that call against Dodasco.
It kind of got to that ball at the same time, and it was just a bit of a collision. The call goes against Washington, but how about the two defenders, both the number 6s serving in these balls and getting the assists on the night. In-step volley, no doubter from Kristen Press to tie this game up.
And just the 6th goal allowed here at home all season long by Washington. Well, McCaffrey looking for a little more there, and Chicago will get a corner. Their second of the match. Kristen Press's 9th goal of the season ties this playoff match up.
And interesting what a goal does. Look at the smile on her face, a little bit of spark. She had some energy there after that goal. Rallying the troops.
Bounces out of bounds. It'll be another corner, so Chicago will try it again. See that rain coming down as it has pretty much all night long. A little bit of a higher ball this time right toward Weiss, who has to snatch it out of the air and does so.
Well, McCaffrey was sitting there right in front of Weiss trying to cause some confusion, and she did well to hang on with it. Unlucky that she punts that one out of bounds.
Yeah, did well to hang on, but not so well in her distribution after the fact.
See which side kind of calms down and weathers the storm here. If Washington can get back in on the attack, settle down defensively, and then you've got Chicago clearly with the momentum after that late goal.
Nice turn by DaCosta. Press knew exactly what she wanted to do with it. Boy, she is thinking 1 or 2 steps ahead every time the ball comes her way. Ortega has Matheson on the far side. Dunn gets tangled up in the middle with Colaprico. Huerta. Try to play it long for Press. Another one-time shot by Kristen Press.
If I'm Weiss, I might want to stay back just a little bit on that ball lofted in. She's got the wind somewhat at her back. They're serving that long ball in over the top. Weiss was almost in no man's land out there coming off her line. I'm telling you, Kristen Touch just needs to get one toe on this thing, and it's in around the keeper.
I like that you just called her Kristen Touch. That's all she needed was one touch.
I didn't even know. That's her new nickname.
Okay.
I've just coined that.
Well,
I'm glad you pointed it out to me, because that happens to me a lot in broadcasts where it rolls off your tongue and you don't even notice it.
You know, I know.
Until you get hammered on Twitter.
Right. Another great ball. Chicago really pressing here. McCaffrey on it this time. A bouncer to Weiss.
That previous possession, though, where Kristen Press received the ball, checked back with her back to the goal, and she was able to combine in a little bit of a triangle and tried to slot McCaffrey through. That's the first time I think we've seen that the entire game, where they've been able to set up in that offensive third where she can play make like that with her back to the goal and try to slot it through.
Right, using her as a playmaker rather than the finisher. Look at Nairn just winning the ball in the middle of the field. Matheson. Dunn trying to hold her ground. Johnson. Tough in that center back spot for Chicago. Here comes Press. Can she sneak through? Not that time. Still some time for McCaffrey, though. She takes the shot, and it just deflects off a Washington defender.
Well, and Huerta was kind of sitting open on the top of the box.
Gilliland wants to get in on the action up there in the attack for Chicago. Nice work. Gilliland with her left foot looking at the far post. Chicago 7 shots in the second half. They had just 2 in the first.
And how many corners in the second half as well, because they have really been aggressive, finding a way to get to that end line and put the pressure on here for the Spirit.
3 corners to answer your question for Chicago. Their first 3 of the match, all in the second half. Great intensity in this match tonight, as you would expect from a playoff. One of these teams will make history, making it to their first ever NWSL final. Estefania Benini will make way for Wake Forest. Demon Deacon Katie Stengel, had the pleasure of watching her play in college quite a bit. First year with this Washington team after playing over in Germany with Bayern Munich last couple of years. Won the Bundesliga title and led that team with 9 goals in 2015. Chicago looking for more and just missing that far post.
DiBernardo with a nice run off the ball in behind. Doesn't even need to take an extra touch. Gets the left foot on it. going for that far post, but look at the movement off the ball by Chicago. All of a sudden, the momentum has changed, the speed of play has changed, their pace. Those runs off the ball have been so key. And DiBernardo getting in on the attack there.
Matheson to Ortega.
Good double.
Zadorsky gives it away to Chicago, trying to get it to press again, but Weiss reading it. Dunn. Dunn tripped up, stands up. Stengel now collects it. She'll take the shot.
Colabrico, first she stuffed Dunn on that play. They kind of got stuck together and somehow manages to get up and still clear the ball out. She makes 2 defensive stops in 1.
Nobody letting up as overtime looms in this first NWSL semifinal match. Final minute of regulation. Chicago trying to get out in front after they came back to tie in the 81st minute. And in the postseason, this is what you get. 2 15-minute overtime periods, should we need it. It is not golden goal. And then if we're still tied after those 2 periods, we head to penalty kick shootout. Oh, the drama. But right now, waiting to see if somebody can win this thing in regulation. The momentum right now belonging to the visiting Red Stars.
Oh, that far post looks open, you see? I guarantee Krieger's aware of Short sneaking in on that far post, but it looked like a split second. She might have been open.
Short with the assist to the Kristen Press goal in the 81st minute. She's on the ball against Krieger. 3 minutes of stoppage time added on.
Crystal Dunn defending all the way back in her own defensive third.
Field really stretched right now. Ortega and the Spirit trying to take advantage, and good recovery by the Red Stars. Nairn. Stengel just came into the match. Here is Stengel, 4 goals on the season, wanting somebody to come to that ball on the far post. You can see Nair screaming out at her defense.
Stengel's got to pick somebody out on that one. She had enough time to take that touch and take a look. Most of the time you can serve a ball into the far post and the odds are you're going to have somebody there, but this late in the game, legs are heavy. She's got to pull that back and pick someone out. There was 2 or 3 other bodies inside that 6-yard box.
4 goals, 1 assist on the season for the Demon Deacons all-time scoring leader. DiBernardo has press. Curling ball lands right in front of Kristen Press. On her left foot, Weiss is down and it's off the crossbar. Oh my goodness, how did Kristen Press miss that open net?
Wow. I don't have a clue how she missed that. And I don't have a clue how in the world she was so wide open.
Well, Weiss slipped on the slippery surface.
But I mean, even for her to receive the ball in the first place, somehow she got in behind Whitney Church. And if there's one player you want to make sure you're touched tight and keep an eye on, now it's tough. This Kristen Press is kind of slippery like that. She'll sneak in behind.
And I think a combination there, really a beautifully weighted ball, but you're right. Press has really been getting positioning much better this half than she did in the first half.
Well, and just a totally different spark and a feel to the Chicago team since that goal. You felt a little bit of energy. They were creating some corner kicks, some chances. But once they got that goal, the momentum has just completely shifted.
Ortega, does she have something left in the tank for the Spirit here in regulation? Seconds ticking down. Press. Offside. She has been working hard, making tons of runs here this entire match, but especially the last 15-20 minutes. And there is the whistle. We are headed to overtime here at the Maryland Soccerplex. 1-1 our score. The Spirit scored first in the 36th minute, and then Kristen Press, a beautiful service from Casey Short, tying it for Chicago in the 81st.
Well, this game has lived up to its billing. We knew it was going to be exciting. It took Chicago a little bit of time to get the flow of things and get going. Even in the second half, it took a little time, but exciting offensive games and efforts by both sides, and we got a 1-1 game.
Well, as both teams get set for overtime, so will we. That's how the scoring started from Allie Krieger in the 36th minute. And then last minute heroics, Kristen Press with a beautiful touch. We're tied and headed to overtime. 90 minutes, not enough to decide our first team through to the 2016 NWSL Championship. Washington and Chicago tied after regulation. We'll show you how we got here. A couple of chances early for Washington.
Well, Crystal Dunn trying to light a fire under her team early, gets it on that right foot, hits the post. And then this one, just a nice flick clearance by Julie Johnson, but nobody gets on that second ball. Washington able to kind of reset themselves, and how about this ball served in by Shalina Zadorsky. Allie Krieger finds herself just a step inside her mark on the far post, finishes that one with a beautiful header, and the Spirit up 1-0.
And that held for a while. A couple of more chances for the Spirit. This one going right to Alyssa Nair. And then Kristen Press really got working here in the second half.
She just found her way to get a little bit of separation, and we know that's what she's capable of. Brings it down with the chest, a volley over the crossbar, but this one, 1-2 touches, gets around the keeper, and another post. Just could not find another way to finish one and wrap up this game as she was trying to give her team the 2-1 victory.
Well, she did finish one in the 81st minute off service from Casey Short, and that's what gets us here to overtime. Chicago, Washington both trying to get to the NWSL Championship game in Houston.
You kind of almost get the feeling Washington is probably looking forward to that whistle blowing and wrapping up regulation, because Chicago was putting on the heat, putting on the pressure, creating some opportunities, and it looked like they had the momentum there late in that game. And this way, Washington maybe kind of regroup and settle themselves down.
Didasco loses the touch to McCaffrey. Press still making her run. And she'll be whistled for the foul that time. So we are in for 30 more minutes guaranteed. No golden goal, as we said. 2 15-minute overtime periods on the clock. See what these two teams can dig deep and come up with. Ortega has been busy along that front line for the Spirit tonight. Has some time on her turn, but is off the mark. Julie Johnston with the spirited talk to her team at halftime when Chicago trailed, and they got off to a rocky start in the second half. Seemed out of tune defensively, a couple of chances by Washington. But in the end, they really stuck to their game plan, didn't they? And finally, Kristen Press came through.
Sometimes it's just a matter of literally weathering the storm. You get through those little bumps and some confusion, and they were able to hold it to 1-0 and climb back in it.
These two teams are literally weathering the storm. Rainy night here in Boyd's, Maryland, just north of Washington, D.C. Didasco, left-footed ball out of bounds. Washington getting some shots to start the first overtime, but not at all dangerous. Caprice Tedesco started the last 11 matches now. That left back spot that she earned and has held down for the Spirit. Well, there is no secret who Chicago is looking for in Kristen Press. Just wonder how long is she going to be able to keep gas in the tank. Matheson, one of 2 subs made by the Spirit in this match. Each team has made 2. And the offside flag is going to go up that time. DaCosta thinking Chicago is onside. Stengel to Matheson, the 2 substitutions in the second half for the Spirit, connecting there. There is Katie Stengel. And then just really can't get the touch she wants, but Dunn can still make something happen. Johnston knows it, and so gives up the corner.
Well, that's what's crazy is Stengel kind of ran into a wall there. She ran out of options in real estate. 2 teammates making some runs off the ball, and somehow because of the pressure and the threat of Crystal Dunn, she forces a veteran, experienced player like Julie Johnson just be safe and play it out over the end line for a corner kick.
Those 2 have had some tussles already in this match.
No love lost, but I guarantee they're going to be friends after the match. When they face each other as opponents, it's a different story.
Nairn to take the 7th corner of the match for Washington. Bends it right toward the goal.
Kind of bounced around in there. Anytime that ball hits the turf inside the box.
Zadorsky has come up from her spot defensively, but will make way for Tedesco to throw the ball in. Tedesco back to Zadorsky.
Switch.
Krieger lays it on the ground to Nairn. Knows she has Ortega. And let's cue up another corner kick.
Anytime this ball kind of bounces around inside the box like that, hits the turf and a thigh on that far side, I think it was Stengel. And then just a quick clearance to get it out of pressure.
And then you can see that both Nair and Johnston going up nearly collided with one another trying to clear the ball. The rain falling a little harder now. Nairn again toward that back post, but overshoots everybody. Christine Nairn out of Annapolis, Maryland. 3 goals, 3 assists on the season for Washington. One of 3 players for the Spirit, along with Crystal Dunn and Diana Matheson, to have now started all 3 playoff matches in NWSL Washington Spirit history. Take that back. Matheson actually did not start this one, came off the bench, but those 3 all started the previous 2. Gilliland too strong for McCaffrey. Yeah, you get the sense, you talked about it, that Washington, probably the team a lot more ready for that break, that whistle for overtime, because Chicago was rolling, was putting on some of the best pressure, getting some of the best opportunities of the match.
Well, that last chance that Press had in stoppage time, man, I thought that was going to be game over right there. So Washington might be lucky to have escaped into overtime and force the issue here.
McCaffrey couldn't control it. Didasco gets it to Stengel. Matheson, which she was trying to. Now the Spirit get it over to Krieger. Ortega had nobody behind her.
Wow, she could have turned. She's done that turn so many times tonight. That beautiful turn where she uses her body to shield the pressure. She wouldn't have even needed to shield the pressure on that one. Just let that ball roll by and hit it one time. Either she didn't take a look or nobody communicated it.
Stengel does well to find Naren in traffic, but Naren gives it up. DiBernardo was quickly trying to spring Kristen Press, but her ball not hit well. DiBernardo and McCaffrey applying just enough pressure there. Boyce trying to determine where to go with it. Eventually goes through Zadorsky. Excellent touch by Dunn.
And right back.
Dunn and Gilliland. Dunn winds up on the ground.
Allie Krieger screaming for that ball on that far side. Naren was gonna switch it, and then Stengel took it off of her foot. And they didn't get the switch off. Turned it over.
Press this time, who collected the ball for Chicago. McCaffrey was making the run. DiBernardo back to Press. Has Colaprico. Some space for Colaprico to pull the trigger. Throw in Chicago. And that chance in extra stoppage time, I should say, by Kristen Press that I think everybody thought game over.
And you can see the fans behind the net watching that kind of unfold almost in slow-mo right in front of them.
I'll tell those fans the prayers they sent up at that moment were apparently answered by the crossbar. And now Johnston up. Chicago trying to recover defensively, get some numbers back as Krieger looks forward toward Dunn and Ortega. There's Crystal Dunn trying to find Stengel, who makes a great run and gets inside. Casey short. Had everything but the finish that time for Stengel.
There's that playmaking by Dunn. She draws so much attention, draws so many defenders, and she's able to find a teammate running in behind.
And you said it earlier, but in talking to Crystal Dunn, and she was talking about her different role with the team this season, when she's coming off a season the likes of which be one of the best you'll probably ever see in this league. 15 goals, the Golden Boot, NWSL MVP a year ago. And then look at her numbers this year, and she said, hey, you know, people might look at my numbers and think, oh, she's having an off year. She said, as long as my team is where it is right now in the playoffs and we're winning, I don't care.
And I'm sure even for her, it takes some adjusting. When you're a goal scorer, that's what you want to be doing. Even though your team is winning, you want to be finding a way to score goals. That's just what naturally comes to you. But she's accepted that role and she's taking it on. And it's been fun to see how she got excited talking about the amount of assists she's had on the season.
Yeah, said she hasn't had that as Chicago working right through that middle of the field. McCaffrey. Now we'll use short to reset a bit. Johnston trying to pick out Gilliland. Oh, going to be a deep throw-in for the Red Stars. About 3 minutes remaining in this first overtime period, first of 2. Chicago making something happen here. McCaffrey has the ball bounce right back to her. Gilliland still up in the attack. Stengel has Dunn. That ball is going to be way behind Crystal Dunn, though. Casey Short there to intercept. Gilliland to DiBernardo. A little bit more of an attacking position for Vanessa DiBernardo here in this overtime.
That's just good defensive work. Ortega tracking all the way back and defending DiBernardo in that corner.
It's another deep throw for Chicago. And DiBernardo just perhaps slipping, taking a little bump. So the first of 2 15-minute overtime periods nearing its end. A little over a minute remaining. No real dangerous opportunities in the overtime period. Chicago was all over it, had the lion's share of the momentum and the chances toward the end of regulation. Would say nobody's really grabbed hold of that momentum just yet in extra time. Short. She had the assist on the equalizer for Kristen Press in the 81st minute.
How about that ball out wide as she's falling over?
Makes it look easy. Church to Krieger.
She's got some space on that side, Dunn.
Dunn to Matheson, whose touch, not a great one, but Dunn is still going to try to make something of it. Good job by Short to stay strong with the ball. And no stoppage time added to the first overtime period. I don't know, what do you think, Kendra? Nobody, as we said, really taking a hold of this match in overtime. What do you think both teams are going to try to do as they have 15 more minutes?
Well, it kind of felt like they used that end of regulation to huddle up and regroup and see what they could plan out for that overtime period. No real opportunities, offensive threats, nobody slicing and dicing in behind like we saw to end regulation. I don't know, they're going to continue to try to spring Kristen Press over the top and through that middle. I think Washington Spirit, the defense is a little bit more aware of where Kristen Press is moving in behind. Whitney Church has had her work cut out for her in this game. And on the other end, Ortega's had to come back a lot defensively, and so has Crystal Dunn in this overtime period, so they're not quite as effective in the offensive third. They're trying to be, but it's tough to play both ways when you're already, 100+ minutes into this match.
Well, a reminder that coming up after this game, be sure to stay on FS1 for MLB Whip Around live from LA. They'll have all the scores and highlights from the last Friday in baseball's regular season. Sorry, fellas, we're getting a little lengthy here as we have overtime. But both of these teams playing their hearts out on this field tonight. Wet, rainy conditions all night long. Fans haven't gone anywhere. Either Washington or Chicago will be the first team to punch their ticket to the 2016 NWSL Championship. And they'll have 15 more minutes of overtime. If that doesn't decide it, we'll head to penalty kicks.
What's your gut feeling? Penalty kicks or is somebody wrapping this thing up? Are they going to put one in? I don't know. I'm kind of feeling that someone's going to spring one loose. Someone's going to get in behind. You've got Kristen Press on one side of the ball and McCaffrey, and then of course on the other side you've got Crystal Dunn and Ortega, who've just been phenomenal, and they're playing very similar styles in their offensive thirds of the field. I think somebody's going to sneak in behind with these wet conditions. You never know what can happen. Maybe a defensive miscue, maybe it skips by the keeper, or somebody comes off their line and tries to play something. I just feel like it's going to finish with a goal, not penalty kicks.
I like that prediction.
Holy cow, did the Rangers start coming down harder, or
yes,
what?
it did. Didn't stop that little man dancing in the stands, though. I like that move. I mean, if you're going to shiver, you might as well make it into a little dance. Well done, buddy. Over 4,200 on hand here tonight as the rain slashing down. We are about to begin the second extra time period. No golden goal, so we'll go the full 15. And if we are still tied after that, we'll head to the penalty kick shootout. But my partner, Kinda D. St. Aubin, predicts that will not happen. She thinks we're going to see a winner here in extra time.
It's going to be fun. I just feel it. I feel like both teams want to wrap this thing up on the field, in the run-up play. Nobody likes to end on penalty kicks.
Right, I know.
Right?
Hey.
I mean, can you imagine trying to make some saves, too? In these conditions, it's hard enough for a goalkeeper to pick which side you're going to take in penalty kicks, let alone when you're dealing with a slippery, wet surface, trying to make some diving saves.
So here we go, extra time period number 2 underway from the Maryland Soccerplex in Boyds, Maryland. The first NWSL semifinal of 2016 has been a fantastic one. The Washington Spirit, who have been excellent on their home field this season, took the lead, have not lost a match all season long when they have led at halftime, as they did after Ali Krieger's goal in the 36th minute, but Kristen Press, after several close calls, finally came through for Chicago in the 81st minute, and that is where we stand still, 1 apiece. Ortega slows it down, now turns back around. There's that turn you were looking for earlier. Ortega and Gilliland. Now Gilliland will get some help defensively.
Well, Chicago looked a little more organized defensively around the ball there, behind the ball, I should say. Ortega made that nice turn at midfield, but immediately I looked up and you could see 4 or 5 Chicago players in good defensive shape, ready for anybody running through the middle, including Crystal Dunn. Keeping an eye on her.
Dunn will get a second try at that throw-in. Katie Stengel. Whitney Church. Shalina Zadorsky, who assisted on Ali Krieger's goal. Been strong defensively for the Spirit tonight. Huster, good job to bounce back up as best she could.
Well, we haven't said Huster's name much tonight, but she's really had to patrol the midfield there and keep DiBernardo in check. She's been responsible for that midfield of Vanessa DiBernardo. She's done a good job of it.
Well, Jim Gabera talked about he really loved the play of his 3 midfielders all season long, with Huster and Nairn, 2 of those done an excellent job for this team, along with Joanna Lohman, who started this match. Nairn now on the ball. Crystal Dunn. A little chippy ball. Sometimes it's just amazing to see how she gets the ball off when she has so much pressure around her at all times.
Well, and she's so tricky offensively that they have to respect her defensively. So you see the defender kind of shuffling backwards as she's dribbling right at you. Is she going to take me on the dribble? And then what does she do? She chips a little ball inside the box looking for a teammate. But well read by Alyssa Nair, coming off her line and picking that one out.
You talked about Crystal's assists, 5 on the season for Crystal Dunn, and she's never had a season where she's had that many assists. It's part of the way Jim Gabarra set this team up this season, wanted to build off of the strengths of this team that had been to back-to-back playoffs, but make it a little better. Provide some more scoring options around Crystal Dunn in that attack, and they have done that. A very deep team, a true team, as Coach Gabarra told us, and one that often forces him into difficult decisions when it comes time to figure out exactly who he wants to have on the field.
All good problems to have, much like the national team coach Jill Ellis told us at halftime when she's talking about looking ahead to the upcoming roster and some of the friendlies and everything they've got going on. It's a good problem to have when you have so many choices and players that you can bring in and have as options, and that's what Jim Gabarra has with Washington here as well.
Huerta, after the good work of Kristen Press to keep possession for Chicago. Huerta unable to keep it going.
And I think, too, depth is just so important when they've had these international breaks the last 2 summers.
Takeaway by McCaffrey.
Whoops.
Colaprico can't get it past the referee. Naren charging with Stengel, who is onside. Plays it back to Naren. Has it if she wants it. Instead finds Mathis, and now back to Naren. What a connection! Post! And the Spirit through Ortega have taken the lead.
We just got done talking about the team concept of the Washington Spirit and this roster and the depth on this team. That was a beautiful team goal right there. The passing, the combination. Stengel gets this down the right flank. She finds Naren. She's got all day, but she takes a look. Look at this combination play. Nice little give and go. For some reason, nobody tracks Naren. And Ortega just slots this one home. This was just great passing, great team play, good team goal, beautiful finish, and patience.
Yeah, she just slipped through, didn't she, Naren, on that? And as you said, so unselfish. She had a look if she would have wanted it just outside the 18-yard box and decided she had other options, and Matheson picked her out. Ortega made the run on the far post, and now the Spirit back out in front.
I mean, to have 4 people legitimately involved on a goal, that's a team goal right there.
Excellent execution by Washington. Press. And you know, you think about, too, for Washington, how many of those passes were on the ground to feet, really until the final ball.
And the movement off the ball, just for some reason, nobody tracked Naren as she ran through that space, and she was just able to play that ball on the ground right through the box. And once again, Ortega getting on the end of it, always making sure she finds a way to get in that space.
And Francisca Ortega, the Nigerian international, has been a pleasure to watch tonight as well. The work rate she's had up front, along with Crystal Dunn. 111th minute. Retaking the lead for the home team.
Well, I think when your whole team is working all over the field defensively, even as a forward, you know that you have to do your job defensively, and they've done that.
Ortega is going to get the ball with a ton of space. She looks in now, and Stengel did all she could to get up for that ball. Katie Stengel at 5'9", can climb up that ladder, but could not direct the service. So the Chicago Red Stars bringing Katie Naughton, the rookie out of Notre Dame, into the match.
It looks like they're changing some shape here. You do see her doing some communicating with her marking backs. Looks like Julie Johnston's pushing up, getting in more on the attack, and not making a lot of changes there to that back line, trying to organize.
And the crowd will certainly let Francisca Ortega hear it for what she's done tonight. Defensive substitution as Megan Oyster comes on. Hasn't played the last 5 matches, but that's really because, as Jim Gabera told us, Church has been playing so well at center back. And now Washington trying to shore up its defense in the second extra time period and hang on to this lead.
Well, just to reiterate, Naughton just stepped on the field, and she was doing a lot of communicating to her team, letting them know what Coach Rory Dames wanted. And there you see it right there. Julie Johnston pushing all the way up, almost in a holding mid, actually an attacking mid, as Colaprico stays in behind her.
Well, Johnston thought she was going to step in and win that one. Now she's got another chance. Trips off Nairn, goes down hard and is still on the ground.
Gabera not happy on this sideline.
That did look to be a pretty tough tackle by Julie Johnston.
A little bit late on that one.
Nairn with the match's only yellow card earlier.
Talk about it. Protect the player.
5 minutes remaining in this second extra time period, plus any extra time added on. Chicago trying to push numbers up. They have a ton of blue jerseys just waiting along that line. Weiss looked like she held up.
Yeah, I think she did. I think once she knew she was diving clear of her own goal, she pulled her arms back in. Knew she didn't have to make a save on this one or deflect it out of bounds. But Casey Short had one thing on her mind in this one. She got forward with speed and pace. Wanted to take that one herself.
Weiss and Short, former collegiate teammates at Florida State. Matheson has Stengel. Now Dunn with the shot and Nair. Woo, had to get down low to get that one. More unselfish play by the Spirit as Matheson was off to the races and opted to use Stengel, who set up Dunn. Kristen Press is offside.
The flag goes up, but Weiss still off of her line in time, at least on that one, able to come away with it. But Kristen Press continues to ride that line. Chicago trying to set her free.
Good little flick by Dunn. Stengel's not going to be able to catch up to it as Naughton gets there for Chicago. Short, tough touch. Both on the ball and on Dunn. Stengel.
Whoops.
Dunn couldn't quite get to that ball from Oyster. And DiBernardo on the ground for Chicago. Really one of the driving forces in the midfield for the Red Stars. 7 assists on the season. That's tied for second in the league and clearly in some pain.
Well, they've been putting a lot of minutes and miles on those legs tonight. They all wear those GPS trackers these days, and I'm always just amazed at the fitness level of these athletes and the amount of miles they put on. She does have that sleeve on that left leg, that hamstring.
DiBernardo, her 45th consecutive game played for Chicago, trying to gut it out for the final couple of minutes.
Yeah. She's another one of those players that Coach Rory Dames just said, man, has she developed. She went to Australia and played over there overseas during the off season and took on a different role there with some goal scoring and some different leadership. Good for her to be away from home and kind of that maturity.
And in this situation right now, no subs remaining for Chicago, and DiBernardo clearly in just a tremendous amount of pain. All she can do to get off the field. So at the moment, Chicago down a goal is also going to have to play down a man. Certainly some time will be added on. Stengel steals it back. Gonna call Dunn offside. And you just wonder if such an influential player as DiBernardo in the midfield, the nail in the coffin here for Chicago, or do the Red Stars have a little something left? 2 minutes of stoppage time added on to determine the first entrant into the NWSL Championship game.
Well, this is a preview for Sunday. Sign me up.
Right?
And we knew what the last Portland Western New York game looked like that we televised a couple weeks ago.
3-2 in favor of the Thorns, although Western New York, the highest scoring team in the league, battled back after being down 3-0. Wound up losing by 1. Yes, the 2 highest scoring teams in the league await in semifinal number 2. McCaffrey, but the ball is won by Ali Krieger.
Whoa.
Samantha Johnson, and the referee has the card already out of her pocket for Johnson.
It was almost like she thought Crystal Dunn was going to stop and post up and kind of possess that ball. Instead, she went to let it roll by her, and a little too much of a shove there. Correct call with the whistle and a yellow card.
Washington Spirit looking to pick up lucky win number 13 of the season. They have already set a program record for wins in a season here in NWSL. But how sweet would this one be to put the Spirit in their first ever NWSL championship?
It's likely, well, maybe I shouldn't even say it. I'm not going to say it. I don't want to jinx anything. I was going to say likely still undefeated when they lead at half, but
there you go. Now you can say it. The Washington Spirit celebrate a win on their home field that will send them to Houston for the NWSL final. See a look at the brackets. Washington in Portland, Western New York. Waiting in our second semifinal. We will have that one for you on Sunday. Can't wait for that one. Well-deserved celebration by this Washington Spirit team, and of course the devastation on the other side for a Chicago team that played its heart out tonight. Francisca Ortega, the game winner for Washington in the 111th minute, as Washington gets the 2-1 win and will await the winner of the Portland-Western New York match to see who they face in the final. Well, as I mentioned, the NWSL playoffs will continue on Sunday in Portland as the Thorns host the Western New York Flash in our second semifinal. Top 2 scoring teams in the league, and the winner will face this Washington Spirit team on October 9th in the championship from Houston. For Kendra D. St. Aubin, I'm Jen Hilder saying so long from Maryland. Your final score 2-1, Washington. Allie, congratulations. What a moment. What a win for your team. What does it mean for you to have this Spirit team getting to its first NWSL championship?
It's an incredible feeling. All that hard work. You know, I feel like we deserve it this season. We've worked so hard together. We respect each other. We love each other. We support each other. And it just goes to show you how we finish this game off. And I think that, you know, we're going to, you know, now that this game is over, we got to refocus. And it's huge for our program here. It's huge for our club. It's the first time in history that we've won the semifinal finally. And we've been craving that for the past 4 seasons, so we're thrilled. We couldn't be happier.
Well, you had some things to check off your list heading into the season. One of them was hosting the postseason, and the other one was bringing home a championship. Absolutely. I just love that final goal for you guys. What a team goal. I mean, does that really just epitomize your team?
Absolutely. You know, we actually did that passing pattern in training the other day. No, I was going
to say, that always is nice when that works out.
Yeah. No, so Jim was pretty happy about that. No, but I think it's just it's a complete team effort. Like I said before, we share the ball. We trust each other. We trust the player on the ball. And obviously that proves that we can get the job done with everyone as a team, as a collective group. And we really trained that this week and the entire season. So obviously we've had the whole season to work on that. And you know, that final piece, that final pass. And we've been trying to work on the final third so often this season, and I think that just wraps it up, and we kind of just put a bow on it, and yeah, we're now in the final. It was tremendous.
Well, Allie, we gave you, a couple of minutes there to celebrate. Now I'm going to ask you to look ahead. You're a pro. Okay. I know you can handle it. So your team this year, a win and a draw against Western New York, but a draw and a loss against Portland. Any thoughts on those two teams?
You know what? Bring it on. We want to play the best team. We you know, in order to be the best, you have to beat the best. So either way, it's going to be a great match. Both teams have had a wonderful season. You know, both teams that play different types of styles. We're going to have to adapt to it, but obviously we're focusing on us. We're focusing on the way we play, and that's how we've taken this entire season. Each game, one game at a time, and I think that's going to still be the focus for next week.
Well, we look forward to it. Thanks so much, Allie.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.